It was 4:26 in the afternoon, July 16, 1990. In just 45 seconds, a magnitude 7.7 earthquake tore the heart out of Luzon. Buildings didn't just fall, they collapsed in seconds. Entire streets in Baguio City literally sank into the earth. Over 1,600 of our fellow Filipinos were gone, not because of a typhoon you could see coming on radar, but because the very ground they stood on turned into an enemy. Now, here is the part that should keep you awake tonight. Scientists have confirmed that the fault responsible for that nightmare has a cousin, a sleeping giant that runs directly beneath the feet of millions of Filipinos today. And according to Phivolcs, our own earthquake authorities, this fault isn't just active, it is overdue. As we enter 2026, the geological clock has moved forward. The statistical window for the big one is no longer a distant maybe, it is a closing door. Hindi na ito biro, this is no longer a drill. In this video, we are revealing the 10 specific Philippine locations that face catastrophic risk if, or when, the big one strikes in 2026. We built this list using the most recent fault data, seismic return periods, and official Phivolcs hazard maps. Before we reveal number 10, look around you. Look at your walls. Look at your street. Ligtas ba ang pamilya mo? Is your home on this list? Watch every second of this, because number 1 is a location that most people, even the experts, are completely ignoring. Number 10, we start in Mindanao, specifically the coast of Surigao City. Most people mistakenly think that the big one is only a Metro Manila problem. But Surigao sits directly on the Philippine Fault's eastern segment, one of the most restless and unpredictable fault systems on the entire planet. In Surigao, the threat isn't just the shaking, it's the wall of water that follows. When this segment finally ruptures, official models project ocean waves surging 3 kilometers inland. We are talking about entire coastal communities being erased in a matter of minutes. Walang babala, walang takas. Why is 2026 the year we should be terrified? This specific segment operates on a 250-year return cycle. The last major rupture happened in the mid-1700s. Do the math. As we enter 2026, the geological clock hasn't just hit midnight, it's already running on borrowed time. The human stake here is heartbreaking. Surigao's coastal schools serve over 50,000 students. That is an entire generation of children studying in low-lying buildings with absolutely zero tsunami protection. The survival gap is even more brutal. Most families here have never participated in a formal tsunami drill, and there are almost no elevated evacuation towers within walking distance. If the Earth moves here in 2026, thousands will be left looking at the horizon with nowhere to run. But as dangerous as Surigao is, what happens to the urban centers in the heart of the Visayas is even more shocking. We'll get to that shortly. Number 9, Davao City. The largest city by land area in the Philippines and home to over 1.7 million people. But beneath its rapidly expanding skyline lies a hidden danger. The Davao Gulf segment of the Philippine Fault. It is currently loaded with centuries of unspent tectonic energy. In Davao, the primary killer won't just be the buildings falling, it will be the ground itself turning against them. This is called liquefaction. When the big one hits here, the soft riverfront soil will behave like a liquid. Buildings won't just tip over, they will sink straight down, swallowed by the earth. Lalamunin ng lupa ang mga pundasyon. Official hazard maps show that entire riverside districts are sitting directly on these high-risk zones. The return period for this segment is 300 years, and it last ruptured in the 1700s. As we move into 2026, we are officially in the danger window. Davao's rapid urban growth, specifically high-rises built on poorly compacted soil, has dramatically multiplied the potential for a catastrophe. What is truly at stake here? The Davao International Airport sits in a highly vulnerable zone. If those runways sink or crack, Mindanao loses its primary gateway to the world. Emergency response, relief flights, and medical evacuations will be completely paralyzed. The survival gap in Davao is a silent crisis. Most households have no 48-hour emergency water supply. When the pipes break during liquefaction, the water will stop, and it won't be coming back for days. Davao is a ticking time bomb, but as we move north to the Visayas, the threat shifts from sinking soil to a tsunami trap that could catch an entire province off guard. Let's pause for one moment, because understanding this single concept could be the difference between life and death. What exactly is a return period? Think of a fault line like a massive pressure cooker. A return period is the average time it takes for that pressure to build up before the fault finally snaps. Many people think that if a major earthquake hasn't happened in a long time, the area is safe. Maling akala po yan. In reality, it's the exact opposite. Every decade that passes without a quake doesn't mean the danger is shrinking. It means the tectonic pressure is reaching a breaking point. When a fault is past its return period, it isn't quiet. It is overdue. The energy has to go somewhere, and the longer the Earth waits to release it, the more violent that release will be. As we enter 2026, every single location on this list is either approaching or has already bypassed its historical return period. The geological clock has run out.
Now,
Back to the list. Number 8. Tacloban City, Leyte. If you watched the news in 2013, you remember Super Typhoon Yolanda. You saw exactly what water can do to Tacloban. Now, imagine that same city hit by a massive earthquake first, and then the surge follows. Tacloban sits directly on the Leyte segment of the Philippine Fault. This fault operates on a roughly 150-year cycle, and Phivolcs data reveals this segment has been reloading its tectonic stress ever since the last major event. As we move into 2026, we are falling squarely within that high-risk window. Hindi lang bagyo ang kalaban dito. The threat here is a compound disaster. A massive fault rupture could trigger immediate coastal flooding, hitting a city whose rebuilt infrastructure has never truly been earthquake-tested. The human stake is massive. The San Juanico Bridge, one of the longest and most iconic bridges in Asia, is the lifeline connecting Leyte to Samar. It serves over 300,000 people. If that bridge fails, the eastern Visayas is literally cut in half. Relief operations, food supplies, and medical aid would become nearly impossible to deliver. The survival gap in Tacloban is a terrifying oversight. The city has invested heavily in storm shelters, but there are almost no integrated earthquake and surge shelters. No one is planning for both disasters arriving at the exact same time. If the ground moves in 2026, the shelters meant to save people from the wind might not hold up against the earth. Tacloban is still healing from the past. But our next location is a city that is currently building its future directly on top of a geological trap. Number 7. Bohol Island, Visayas. In October 2013, Bohol was shaken by a magnitude 7.2 earthquake. Centuries-old churches collapsed in seconds, the chocolate hills cracked, and mysterious sinkholes opened across the island. That was over a decade ago. But here is what most people don't know. The East Bohol Fault still carries massive, unresolved tension from that event. Phivolcs confirms that this segment has not fully released its accumulated stress. A follow-up rupture, potentially even stronger than the last one, is scientifically plausible as we move into 2026. Akala ng marami tapos na, pero nag-uumpisa pa lang. The threat here is unique: sinkhole proliferation. Because Bohol sits on karst limestone terrain, when major shaking hits, the ground doesn't just crack, it collapses from below. We are talking about the iconic Chocolate Hills, a natural monument drawing 500,000 tourists every year, being permanently disfigured or destroyed in an instant. The survival gap is a silent danger. There are currently no real-time sinkhole monitoring systems accessible to local residents. Most people living near these karst zones have no idea what the early warning signs even look like. They are literally walking on hollow ground. Bohol is a geological masterpiece that could crumble in 2026, but our next location is the economic heart of the Visayas, and the danger there is hidden beneath the ocean. Number 6. Cebu City, Visayas. If you are watching this from Cebu, listen closely. The central Philippine Fault runs directly through this island, from north to south, like a hidden crack beneath everything you've built. The return period for Cebu's specific fault segment is approximately 200 years, and we are officially overdue. Phivolcs has already been recording increasing earthquake swarm activity, small, frequent tremors that signal mounting pressure deep beneath the island. As we enter 2026, these are no longer just statistics. They are warning shots. The big one in Cebu means one thing above everything else: total bridge failure. The bridges connecting Cebu City to Mactan Island handle over 100,000 vehicles every single day. They are the economic and logistical lifeline of the entire metro area. Structural engineers have warned that these are among the most vulnerable infrastructure points in the region. When they fail, Mactan Island, home to the Mactan Cebu International Airport, becomes completely isolated. Mapuputol ang koneksyon sa mundo. No airport access. No port alternatives ready. No emergency vehicle movement. The survival gap in Cebu is a massive oversight. There are no widely communicated alternative ferry evacuation plans for residents. Most commuters have never once stopped to think about what happens if those bridges are simply gone. If the ground moves in 2026, the Queen City of the South could find itself trapped. Cebu is facing a logistical nightmare, but our next location brings us to the most powerful fault line in the country, the one experts call the Master Fault. Before we enter the top 5, we need to talk about the fault that Phivolcs calls the most dangerous urban fault in Southeast Asia, the West Valley Fault. It is 100 kilometers long, running directly beneath Metro Manila, Marikina, Pasig, Taguig, Muntinlupa, and parts of Laguna and Cavite. Its return period is 400 years. The last time it fully ruptured was around 1658. That was 367 years ago. The math is simple, and it is terrifying. Phivolcs projects a magnitude 7.2 earthquake when it finally moves. Malapit na tayong umabot sa dulo. Government simulations estimate over 50,000 casualties in the first 24 hours alone. 35,000 buildings destroyed. And remember, those simulations were based on older data. Metro Manila is significantly more populated and more built up today than it was when those numbers were calculated. As we enter 2026, we aren't just waiting for the big one. We are living in the final seconds of its geological countdown. Locations 5 through 1 all live in its immediate shadow. Number 5. Tagaytay City, Luzon. Tagaytay City sits on a geological double threat. The southern extension of the West Valley Fault, positioned directly above the massive caldera of Taal volcano. When the fault moves, it won't just shake Tagaytay. It has the potential to destabilize the entire volcanic system below. Phivolcs ground deformation sensors have already detected the crater swelling, a clear sign of rising magma pressure. A major magnitude 7.2 earthquake nearby could be the exact trigger that wakes Taal up completely. Dalawang sakuna sa isang iglap. The result would be catastrophic. Violent shaking, massive ashfall, volcanic fissures, and ground collapse, all happening at the same time. The human stake here is enormous. Over 1.5 tourists visit Tagaytay every year. Its famous ridgetop resorts and restaurants sit on terrain that Phivolcs officially classifies as high-hazard ground. The survival gap in Tagaytay is a critical failure. Most establishments have no ash masks or gas masks in their emergency kits. In a simultaneous earthquake and volcanic event, evacuation routes will likely collapse under the weight of ash and the chaos of panic. If the Earth moves in 2026, the view from the ridge could become a nightmare. Number 4. Baguio City, Luzon. We return to where this story began, Baguio City. In 1990, the Philippine Fault's northern segment destroyed this city. Entire hotels collapsed. The Nevada Hotel buried guests alive. The death toll in Baguio alone exceeded 300 people. Baguio has since been rebuilt. But here's the geological trap. The northern Philippine fault zone that destroyed it once has a 300-year return period, and the pressure has been rebuilding since 1645. The 1990 quake partially released it. But Phivolcs data suggests the deeper fault segment, the one beneath the Cordillera Mountains, remains locked. The threat? Landslide isolation. Baguio's mountain roads are its only connections to the lowlands. One major rupture closes all of them, burying them under rock, soil, and debris. The city becomes an island in the mountains. The survival gap. Emergency food and medicine stockpiles in Baguio are critically insufficient for 72-hour isolation. In a worst-case scenario, the city could be completely cut off for days before help arrives. Number 3. Manila Bay Coastal Strip. The Manila Trench. It sits offshore, quiet, invisible, and lethal. It is one of the most dangerous subduction zones in the Western Pacific. A magnitude 8 or higher earthquake along the Manila Trench would do something the West Valley Fault alone cannot. It would generate a massive tsunami aimed directly at the shores of Metro Manila, Cavite, and Bataan. Phivolcs models project ocean waves surging 5 kilometers inland. That includes Roxas Boulevard, the Mall of Asia, Pasay, and parts of Parañaque. The return period for a Manila Trench tsunami is approximately 500 years. The last recorded event was in 1677. We are now 348 years past that mark. Hinihintay na lang ang paggalaw nito. The stake is unimaginable. Millions of residents live and work within this inundation zone, and most have no idea they are in the path of a wall of water. The survival gap here is a failure of warning. Tsunami sirens are inadequate, and in a densely packed coastal city, there is almost no time to run between the shaking and the waves. Number 2. Makati CBD. The glass towers of Makati are the symbol of Philippine prosperity, but they are sitting directly on top of a geological time bomb. The central segment of the West Valley Fault passes directly beneath the financial district. When it ruptures, Phivolcs projects shaking intensity reaching 8 to 9, strong enough to compromise buildings not built to modern seismic standards. Here is the reality. Many of Makati's commercial landmarks were built in the 70s and 80s, before modern earthquake codes were strictly enforced. The stake is the nation's economic engine, the stock exchange and major banks, all concentrated in one fault-adjacent zone. The survival gap in Makati is a human one. Office workers are not consistently drilled for a 7.2 event. Falling glass facades alone will create kill zones across Ayala Avenue. If the ground moves in 2026, the heart of our economy could stop beating in seconds. Number 1. Marikina City. Number 1. The most vulnerable urban community in the Philippines. Marikina City sits directly on top of the eastern trace of the West Valley Fault. Not near it, not close to it, nasa itaas mismo nito. If you are watching this from Marikina, this isn't a warning about somewhere else. This is about your street, your home, and your neighborhood. When the West Valley Fault ruptures, Marikina faces a triple threat: the ground splitting streets in two, liquefaction turning residential zones into quicksand, and the Marikina River overflowing from earthquake-triggered flooding. Phivolcs simulations project Marikina as the highest casualty zone in all of Metro Manila. This is the place the big one hits first, hardest, and longest. The survival gap is critical. Vertical evacuation points are scarce, and many families still have no identified safe meeting place. The big one is not a question of if. According to Phivolcs, it is a question of when. But knowledge is not the same as helplessness. Knowing your risk is the first step to surviving it. Here are 3 things you must do right now. First, know your hazard. Go to the Phivolcs website or Project NOAA, type in your barangay, see if you are on a fault trace or in a liquefaction zone. 5 minutes of research could save your life. Second, build your 72-hour kit. Water, food, medicine, and your documents in a waterproof bag. Most Filipino households are not prepared for 3 days of isolation. Don't be one of them. Third, make a family plan today. Identify your route. Choose a meeting point outside your home. Practice it. The families who survive are not the luckiest. They are the most prepared. The ground beneath us has been building pressure for centuries. We cannot stop the big one, but we can decide how ready we are when it arrives. This has been Blue Water Strategy. If this video reached someone who needed to hear it, share it. It might be the most important thing you do today.